Man, we have a problem, Mouse.
What problem? What do you
Mr. McNeil, we have a problem. You're in the parking lot.
You stay here! You stay here with Stephanie! You take me to him!
Good evening, and welcome to The Steak at Night. Tonight, we're investigating something as spectacular as the origin of the universe itself, the Big Bang Theory of nose-to-tail eating. Just as all matter expanded from a single point, all nutrition expands from a single animal, from the magnificent ribeye steak at the center of our culinary universe to the expanding boundaries of organ meats. These people who eat nothing but muscle meat is complete poppycock. It's like observing only the visible spectrum while ignoring infrared and ultraviolet. Utterly short-sighted. Consider the liver, good heavens, containing more nutrients than the Horsehead Nebula. The heart as iron-rich as a meteorite, and bone marrow dense as a neutron star with minerals. Each part of the animal serves a purpose, you see, just like each celestial body in our cosmic valley, while modern supermarkets have created more black holes of nutrition than the Andromeda Galaxy. Next time, on The Steak at Night, we'll examine the mysterious dark matter of animal fats. Until then, remember, the universe may be infinite, but nutrition in a single cow is absolutely boundless. Good night.
Else is sick and fucking tired of seeing all the fuck is this shit?
All right, we are live. We are here. It is the Meat of the Matter podcast, where we meet, you matter. That is Mark. He is Peter. I am Tony. And just quick, we might have a little technical difficulty here. I don't know what happened. We are being us tech-savvy individuals that we are. I might have put it on two studios. So I put the link in the other one if you come over to this one, and we'll just get going. So today, boys, how are we doing?
Great.
Mark, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well.
Nice.
Very well. Yeah, Oh, good, buddy. All good. How are you?
Yeah. It's been a good week. So today, boys, I think we should address this because there's been, last week we had a great discussion on the ridiculousness of the sugar diet. And I think what happens is, who do we trust? How do we know who's telling us what? All online doctors say, nutritionists, dietitians. So, I heard a good, one of the people that I love listening to, Eddie GOEKE. I got a little clip from him, and then we're going to look into Peter's favorite guy, Jacob Foods, and we're going to see the difference in how they're trying to share their ideas on who to trust and what to do. And I think we're going to be able to see, one is basically trusting what the information and discerning for yourself. The other one is very much indoctrinated, trust me, I'm a doctor kind of thing. So we'll hear these videos out, and then we'll get into it, take questions. Once again, everybody, please like and subscribe. It pushes the algorithm out there, and we'll just jump right into it. So we're gonna listen to these two videos, and I want people to really hear the difference in what they're actually saying.
Common aspersions that are cast, or that is cast, I guess, at any health influencer that someone disagrees with, or any authority figure, anybody that just expresses an opinion they disagree with, and no matter how much the other person knows, is that, well, you're not qualified to speak upon that. And the irony is that most of these people that actually cast that aspersion also don't have any qualifications, but believe their own opinion to be correct. The contradictions are all over the place. And I actually had to rant about this. If you yourself aren't an educated professional, a term up for debate in terms of its implications in the first place, then you shouldn't have an ideological position on diet either. That doesn't make any sense. Of course, the rebuttal would most likely be, well, that's why I follow scientific consensus, despite the fact that such a consensus involves people disagreeing with each other, exemplifying the fact that even people with the same official credence disagree strongly within the same field, despite having learned all of the same things. Most people would then say that the ones of such a consensus that are espousing things that disagree with their notions of diet are the quacks, which reveals a massive contradiction. That being that, on one hand, you can only listen to people who have administered credence by an institution within the field they are espousing information from, because that is proof they know what they are talking about. That being that, on one hand, you can only listen to people who have administered credence by an institution within the field they are espousing information from, because that is proof that they know what they're talking about. But if they said something I disagree with, even though I myself don't have administered credence, I can reasonably call them a quack, despite the fact that I've just said that if you don't have credence administered to you for such a field, then you don't know what you're talking about and should remain silent. The whole thing makes no sense. And this is why the appeal to consensus and appeal to authority, both of which are tightly intertwined, are fallacies. Always, all argumentative fallacies are called fallacies because they interfere with the appeal to the truth, fact. And this is no different. And I know that this is a short rant. I know, but it was an important one, or it is an important one. I've dealt with so many aspersions of, well, you're not a health expert. Well, are you? It's like, well, no, but that's why I appeal to scientific consensus and you're not. But even people within the scientific consensus disagree with each other. Oh, well, the ones that are saying this are quacks. Well, wait, how can you say that? Because first of all, you just said that if you're an authority figure in the space, then you should listen to them because they know what they're talking about. But then as soon as I choose to listen to the one that makes sense to me, well, then you want to say that they're quacks, even though you're not even a member of the consensus panel in the first place. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. I know that you guys share this sentiment. I know for a fact that you share this sentiment. So I do. I hope.
All right, boys. Well, anyway, we're going to hear that. And, I love Eddie GOEKE. I love what he's done. And quite often it's like, what are people saying? Not who's saying it, why they're saying it. But now we're going to see another example. And then we'll get into what we think about it. So just bear with me.
Certified nutritionist is a complete oxymoron. There is no certification that you need to be able to be a nutritionist, and literally anyone, including a 4-year-old, can call themselves a nutritionist, and that is where all the danger comes from. There is no education needed for them to be able to call themselves a nutritionist and give you health advice that you may or may not listen to. And second of all, if you want to be a dietitian and you don't like school, then you should probably want to be something else, because you need to have at least a master's degree in a relevant field. You also need to complete over 1,000 hours of supervised internship and pass a national exam to be able to be a dietitian. Now, on top of that, the schooling doesn't stop there, because you need to have continuing education every 5 years to keep up your credential, or you will lose it. Being a registered dietitian is not like being a personal trainer. You don't just sit for however many hours and then take an exam. It is much more in-depth than that. Dietitians specialize in clinical nutrition, meaning they work alongside doctors to help treat diseases using medical nutrition therapy. Doctors refer to dietitians because they are the actual nutrition experts, while doctors are not. Dietitians also specialize in community nutrition, meaning they can work for SNAP or WIC or go out and do community education, cooking classes, lots of different stuff. And they also work in food service management. This could be in school districts, in hospitals, making sure people are getting adequate, healthy diets. They do so much. Registered dietitians are literally the most highly credentialed nutrition experts out there. There is no one who knows as much about nutrition as them, so you should probably get your nutrition advice from them.
So how do we feel about that? Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
Go on, Peter. You go ahead.
Jacob Food. What he describes is himself, basically. Yeah, that's the whole thing. He talks about nutritionists knowing the most about food, and well, that might be true, but you have to question what they know about food. It's not set in stone what is good nutrition, how nutrition works, what it does with your health, and all these things. And then we come to scientific consensus. Consensus is nice, and if you want to gamble for what is the right, what is the truth, or what is the truth about nutrition, you could gamble by going for consensus. And a lot of times you will probably get an answer that is reasonable, but a lot of times also not, because consensus, per definition, will change. And just as anything in science, and the whole thing, well, I don't remember the name of this scientific guy. I think it might be Charles Popper or so, somebody else maybe. He talks about science is about falsification. That is science, and a true doctor, a true scientist. I'm a doctor as well, so I'm not a medical doctor, but if I want, I can put doctor in front of my name. I've studied mathematics with a lot of physics, but a true scientist questions things. If you see something that is not according to expectation, if you expect something to happen, for example, if somebody starts to eat a lot of meat, let's just stick to that, then you should question what's happening and not exclude, not stick to the dogma.
No doubt. I agree. Mark?
I just have to say that we've been listening to these people for the last 50, 60 years. Where has it gotten us?
No kidding. No kidding.
That's pretty much it.
I mean,
where are we going wrong? Are we going wrong, or is it these experts that are going wrong? So,
yeah. What's
question? Exactly like Tony says, question everything.
Yeah, man. And you know what you know, like the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Exactly.
And
when does it stop?
Then they'll just say do less of what got you here is the way out, right? And you know, coming from a space, and we're going to get into, when we get into the segment, write that down later, we're going to talk about us, Mark, you and I, seeing things in a different light. I mean, I was studying to be a nutritionist. I realized, like, the further I went in my studies, and of course there was some good, you know, foundational knowledge, but the actual practice and the implementation of said course, I completely disagreed with. And I found myself going, you know, in that like, well, what am I doing? Like, I just want this title. I just want this certification for what? I know it's bullshit. And it was a bit of a battle. And I mean, I come from a space where when I started learning about nutrition, and I know we've all became our own N of ones. And, you know, once you start asking these questions, it's clear that when you have two people with the same credentials, the same degree, from the same school, from the same faculties, whatever it is, and they disagree, well, who do we believe? Quite often, the one that gets famous or known is the one that's the money's behind. And it's pretty simple. Somebody speaks out, and we look into this, look at what's going on with the announcement of Casey Means. I think Casey Means. Everybody's freaking out about her qualifications.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't look at what she's saying. They just try and discredit her from the roots. And, you know, if you want to tell me that you think processed food is good, if you think all these chemicals are good, and someone comes out and says, hey, I'm the ambassador for health, and this shit is not good, and then they say, well, who are you to say that? It's mind-blowing.
And Tony, that's one thing. When you studied nutrition, you probably had to choose a direction in which you go. Because if I look at the faculty of mathematics, you can go in a lot of directions. You can do applied mathematics, highly theoretical mathematics. And with nutrition, it's the same. You can go for clinical nutrition. You can go for weight loss nutrition, probably. I don't know, that sort of things. And that's what people also don't realize. But we are distracted by this title in front of the name. When we read doctor, we immediately think they are trustworthy persons and that know a lot. But take Terry Simpson, for example. He is a surgeon. Why should he have? Why should you think that those credentials are valid when he talks about nutrition? I mean, I don't know about all his knowledge, how much knowledge he has about nutrition, but why does it matter? And the same with Casey Means and a doctor doesn't learn about nutrition and
we know that.
Doesn't learn so much about statistics. Probably, if you're lucky, he does. But that sort of thing. So people are actually not even able to determine whether a person is qualified. As a layman, you are not able to determine that, because the only person that can determine whether this doctor or this nutritionist or dietitian is qualified is an actual person from the field. And even then you have to be careful.
Yeah, no kidding. And, you know, Mark, from a
exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Mark, from a guy who helps people heal and do things that are, you know, kind of, well, you know, in our space, pretty common, but in the mainstream, you're kind of labeled, and I don't mean any disrespect, but you're labeled almost a heretic. Like you're the one that is doing something wrong, when you are getting real life results. How do you feel about that?
It's crazy. It's crazy. People are telling me every day that I'm the crazy one. And I'm like, okay, have you not seen what I did with this person? And they're like, okay, well, that was just a miracle, or that was just a 1 in a million. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I've worked with over 200. I've worked with over 200 people in the last 4 years. Everybody from cancer to diabetes to PCOS to endo. I've mentioned this many times. I've worked with everybody, every single condition that you can possibly think of. I have an unbelievable record with women and pregnancies and IVF. I think I put it on my Instagram the other day. I've had over 60 pregnancies in 4 years. 60 pregnancies.
Busy guy.
These are people that these are people that were told that they would never have a child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine you've been told that you're never going to have a child ever again?
Well,
how heartbreaking that is.
That reminds me, like, this was like, before I started, I was actually in the middle of nutrition school, and this is a story about like the IVF stuff. And my friend, I've been learning about insulin and learning about hormones and I'm like, wow, okay. So he tells me he spent $120,000 on all these attempts at IVF. And I knew them, and I knew his wife, and I was like, you need to figure out her insulin, man. And he's like, oh yeah. Then 3 years later, they actually tested her insulin and said she was severely insulin resistant. And I was like, and then finally it took, but then she was on all the immune suppressants and all the drugs that like suppress your immune system so you can actually have a child. Like it was crazy. And this is the stuff that's like, who the hell are you to say this? And it's like, well, it's happening over and over again. And I think a lot of times, proof is in the pudding, Mark. Like, it's more than testimonials, but I mean, when you're actually giving people's lives back, that is full power. And who the hell is some doctor that prescribes medications, to treat stuff?
Listen, guys, listen. You guys know about Kendall. I told you about Kendall's story. Yeah. You wait and see when she eventually comes on this show. She will tell you herself. You don't need to take my word for it. She'll tell you this herself. She was told that she would have to spend $15,000 on IVF to have a child. No words. She'll tell you this herself. I remember talking to her back then. I said, listen, don't spend that money. We can do this ourselves. Let's just give me 6 months. And when I looked at the diet, there was no fat in her diet whatsoever. Unbelievable. Our hormones were out of whack. She was losing too much weight. She was chronically undereating. She was under enormous stress. No wonder she was never going to have a bleeding child. We fixed this problem within 3 months. She'll tell you this herself. We fixed it within 3 months. We got our hormones back functioning the way they should be. Her estrogen levels were the way they should be. And as I said many times, you'll see very soon when she comes on. She was able to conceive within 5 months of working together. 5 months.
And that's the kind
incredible.
Of thing. And we lost Mark. Like we say a lot, we're not doctors, we're not scientists. It's not about this or that. It's like what blows my mind, is when you look at proper human nutrition and you have results like Mark's had, how can you argue that it's bad or not sustainable? These things are resolving. These things are happening, and they've been told impossible. And we're over and over again, even in my clients, all these impossible things are becoming possible. And then when does it, like, I would love to hear the comments, like anybody listening right now, when are we gonna hear, okay, there might be something to this thing. There might be instead of all this pushback, like, oh, well, you're lucky, you're one off. Oh, so I was unlucky genetically. I was broken because my genetics. Then I fixed it. Now I'm super lucky because my genetics just bounced back and went, hey, you know what? Now we're going to heal. Doing something crazy like a carnivore diet or an animal-based, high fat, whatever. It's crazy. Peter, you're muted.
I was going to complain that the only thing that you will hear, even if you explain with your blood labs that everything is all right and that you've been doing the carnivore diet for a long time, you'll just hear like, yeah, just wait for 5 years or for 10 years. Yeah. And then I say, so first they start with wait for 5 years. And then I say, well, there are a lot of carnivores that are already carnivore for 5 years. So maybe we should wait 10 years or 20 years. Yeah. And the only research that we have long term is this stupid population research with correlations of 10%, sort of stuff.
And actually, Peter, go ahead, Mark. You got something?
Yeah, I just want to add quickly. I just jumped off an Instagram call. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
He cannot hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hear ya. We got his Irish delay on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. That's our next segment.
Can you hear me now, yeah?
Can you hear me now? Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh my God.
It is what it is, man. No worries. This is the international people. This is what happens. Where's Elon? We need Starlink here. What's going on? Go ahead, Mark. You were talking about your Instagram.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it better be good now.
Yeah, I just jumped off a call with a woman who battled cancer for a long time. Long time. And the doctors were convinced that, listen, you need to be on chemo. You're going to be on treatment for the rest of your life. And she actually went against this. She went against the narrative and she says, right, I'm going to take control of matters myself. She didn't hire a coach. She just looked into the carnivore diet. You need to listen to it. Her story is amazing. She was able to reverse her condition. She actually battled cancer and she actually beat it. Now, how can someone like that, who has no qualifications, who's not a doctor, hasn't got a PhD, has been told that it's never going to be reversible, she goes against it and she's able to do this herself. That's what we're dealing with, lads. That's what we're dealing with.
And Mark, what you're saying there too is what they don't give you is hope. They don't preach that. Yeah. They look at, like, you know, the statistics. You insert cancer diagnosis here. They give you statistics of what they think you're going to have time for or how it's going to work. We're going to try and stop the spread. We'll stop the metastases. You're stage 1, 2, whatever. They do not give you hope. Now, what you're talking about is someone, which I find actually funny enough. I just had a conversation with a friend's friend. Well, she had some bad news. She has it. And certain people don't want to hear it, I think, because they've been told and they already have this doom state in their mind and they can't look past the possibilities. And if everybody out there, like, I will implore you to learn about Dr. Thomas Seyfried. I do not know why he is not a household name. In case of, listen to him. Read his book, Cancer is a Metabolic Disease. Start there. He's done so much good in my life that I'm not even worried about it. And I don't say that lightly, because there is ways to, understand this stuff. And I mean, it comes down to that doctor indoctrination. What their word is, and sorry, it's sort of a pun here. Their word is God, and it's not. There is always the body's ability to heal. We're seeing it all the time. Peter's got his type 1 diabetes not only under control, but he's thriving, feeling great. Contrary to most doctors, they would say like it's impossible. And it's diet, it's lifestyle, it's possibilities. And what are you prepared to do? We hear so many people not complaining, but like you can almost feel them giving up because, I had some bad news and this is like, I'm coming to grips with it. But what if that's not it? Like, you can take the power back. And, there is always your body. I believe this, like, it's not genetically broken. If you were born a way, your body knows how to get back to that way. You just have to let it happen. And I think we fight this all the time, and it's crazy. Now, I wanted to show this. Peter made a good slide, and we're not trying to dog doctors, but this graph really shows really what's going on and what they actually think. And, we'll just see what you guys think about this. So hold on here. Let's try and get it up. Here. There we go. Okay. I might cut it out for a second here just to see the graph. So you guys can see this graph. Peter, do you want to go through this?
Yeah, it's very simple. So the question is, when your body burns fat, burning fat, already burning, we don't burn fat, but okay. When we metabolize fat, when we lose fat, where does it go? And in this graph, you see the answer of most doctors. 60% of them will tell you, and actually the funny thing is that personal trainers are a little bit more aware of the truth, but also personal trainers will tell you that fat is converted to energy. And if you know a little bit about physics, then you know this isn't possible because, well, you have this famous equation of Einstein, this E is mc squared. And if you want to convert even the tiniest bit of, if you want to obtain the tiniest bit of mass, you'll need an enormous amount of energy. So that doesn't happen in your body. And the other way around, it also doesn't happen because scary things will happen if that's really the case. So what happens is that fat is converted into different molecules. The connections between the molecules change, and there you get potential energy. And people don't know it. So the right answer is to the right, all the way to the right. And you see that only a few dietitians apparently know about this. Some are being honest. And the rest, the rest is partly true, I guess. You'll lose a little bit of water. Yeah, all the other pathways. But
I guess too, it's like, well, this is not weight loss. This is actually metabolized fat, right? And I think a lot of times, like when people are, let's try and put that back on here. Hold on. When I tell people that you breathe it out, you like, that's where it comes out of your lungs. It changes because I'm a breathwork coach. I teach people how to breathe. And I'm like, there's another maybe a hidden thing here. It's like a good, healthy breath is everything. And like so much stuff happens with our breath, and it's unreal because people don't think that way. They think I got to run on a treadmill, sweat out all the fat, and it's coming out it's like it doesn't work that way. And it's nice that you say that, Peter, because of the let's see here, what can we do? How do we do this? Sorry. But you say that because it's math and it is science. And I think that's the thing where we all, like, in my opinion, when we look at the ancient times, all these polymaths, healers, shamans, they were wise people. They had this whole,
broad perspective,
holistic view of everything. And they were artists. They were math. They were physicians. And now we are so isolated specifically, and when we're dealing with disease or sickness or conditions, or it's always targeted for that, and we don't look at the whole body. And I think we could probably all agree that we're big proponents in obviously the foundations of a good, proper human diet, but it takes care of a lot more than just your nutrition. Like it's unbelievable, the spillover effects. Like that's something that I think it's really weird when people just, what they're taught and told, and then they're just regurgitating, like somebody book smart. They aced an exam and they can retain all that information, but it's never been in real world practice.
And you know what happened? I talked about this graph and the article behind it on my channel. And in the comments, you will still find people that disagree, and they tell you that you're uttering total nonsense. So basically they are disagreeing with Einstein, and they are disagreeing with physics. And well, in my opinion, physics is still one level above biology, and certainly 2 or 3 levels above nutrition science. And so people have no idea. And again, when it comes to science, you need to have a broad vision. That's important.
No doubt. And quite often what I find, especially with teaching people and helping them, like my clients, basically, I want them to think and figure it out for themselves. that is my goal, is to see the possibilities when they start using discernment. And, like, I'm going to play a clip from one of my clients and actually one of Mark's clients, because it's the information, it's what they're saying. And when we first started, he was like, well, Harvard says. And then you're going to hear it in the clip, the wisdom after, now that she's thinking for herself. It's unbelievable. And it's like, I'm not saying Harvard is or isn't, but you need to learn how to discern information and listen to what the information is, not who's saying it, right? And I mean, I'm a big believer in, if something really, really strikes you as like, what? Learn about it. Dig into it. Like, throw it on the table and question it, If you don't, you're just going to be sitting there being a spinning wheel, or, a parrot of somebody else. And I'm not perfect. I don't think I am. There's, but what I've found, the deeper I go into this stuff, is it's all about listening and figuring out what resonates and questioning things. Like, I no longer take things for face value ever. Okay, if I feel it, I'll dig into it. And if I don't, then I'll research. Like, it's just, it leads me down crazy rabbit holes, which, that's something that I do. But I mean, I have Geek Out Fridays now. I used to be at the bars drinking, and now I have these, wherever it leads, man. It could be biology. It could be spiritual, like, different things happen. And it's like, my Friday is just geeking out to try and if I have a question, that's the day that I dig into it. But I mean, I think we focus so much on who's saying it, and we don't look into what's being said. And Mark, who is like one of your biggest influencers on this new way of, like, not just the carnivore thing, but is there anybody specifically that you really pay attention to? Like, when they talk, you listen? Did you hear me?
I'm a big fan of Richard Smith.
I love him. Absolutely. Every time Richard speaks, like, man,
I listen to Richard Smith pretty much every day.
I love how he really gets into the, like, I mean, some people can't really grasp the science, and I love how he ties it into practical and the science, right? Like, I mean, it's a lot of times understanding the mechanisms and not having to understand them completely, but understanding sort of those endpoints. Richard Smith is fantastic.
Yeah, it makes me think of a video that I saw actually yesterday with Richard Smith and Tim Noakes, and they were talking about sports science.
Yeah,
and of course, Tim Noakes in several research publications has shown that ketogenic athletes can function just as well, and their glycogen just works the same as in carbohydrate-loaded people. But they talked about, so it's related to qualifications in a way. They talked about, should we actually look at elite athletes? And I think this is a really good point, because first of all, it doesn't make sense because the average person isn't an elite athlete.
Yeah.
But also, you'll always find another elite athlete that is a little bit better than the other. And so also here we are distracted by some sort of competition, or at least some labeling that this athlete has to be elite. And well, instead, I think that is what it boiled down to. You could just look at the VO2 max and the heart rate. And if somebody is slightly less trained, he will still put a lot of effort. His heart rate will be at 150, 160. And you can draw conclusions from that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, 100%.
Speaking of Tim Noakes, right? Like, that's a kind of a lesson that I learned. And I often like try and explain it to people. Like, Tim Noakes is obviously an outlier, because when you look at what that guy did, who he was, what he did, how he got to where he was, holy shit. Like, he was the guy with marathon training and sports, like, in that sport. He was the guy following what he said himself. And he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, was kind of like concerned about it, and decided to look into why he got type 2 diabetes, figured it out, and then he ripped out his own pages in his runner's Bible, and then got absolutely riddled lawsuits, all the shit, because they were so against him. That is somebody I want to listen to. I want to listen to why that happened to him, how he got there, and then what he has to say, and so many people say, well, he's just, no. This was his livelihood. This was his everything. He put his career, his livelihood, his reputation on the line to speak out against something that he felt so compelled to say to help people, and he got shit kicked for it. And I want to listen to those people, Oh, there we go.
Yeah, 100%. Richard was the very, very same. He put everything on the line as well.
Yeah. I think we got a question. Huang Ling, thanks for this. Are humans the only species able to override their natural instincts to eat the proper foods? No other animal in nature purposely eats inappropriate food, do they? Why only humans do this? Well, that's a very good point. I think that's the question, right? I think that goes down into a lot of carbohydrates are the preferred fuel source, right? Of course they are. That's what they say. You need. But realistically, what would we have done before all this stuff? And I think that's it. Every other animal knows what they're doing. Richard Smith talks a lot about that too. He's, like every other animal instinctively, intuitively eats the amount and finds the food they need. Why are we
the thing. we are able to think about food, and that's the problem.
Yeah. And I mean, is there a way for people to pay more attention to what they naturally eat? Well, that's great that you say that, because they should be watching our show and we'll be telling them, to eat something naturally appropriate, right? And I think to be honest with you, I think that's where the only question we should be asking in the health space, like vegan, carnivore, keto, blah, blah, blah. I think it's you try and figure out what a proper human diet is. If you can try and figure it out and get there, whatever way you feel, that's where you should start. And now, all the questions and the arguments can come about that. But I think that's the key. There is a species-specific diet. What is it? Well, that's the golden question. We're all trying to figure that out. And, from my perspective and my opinion, I think 3 of us have figured it out for the last 4 years anyway, and things are working. So, I mean, go ahead, study me, tell me I'm wrong. That's what we usually end up saying.
Exactly.
Peter, who do you look to? I mean, obviously you have the type 1 diabetic side of things, but like who's some influencers that are somebody that's you when they talk, you listen no matter what?
So it's always tricky, of course, but Paul Mason. Yeah, I think you expected that answer, but Paul Mason. And of course, when it comes to diabetes, he's not among us anymore, but Dr. Bernstein.
Yeah.
So actually, not all the famous doctors like Dr. Chafee or Ken Berry. I mean, they provide valuable information as well, and they were great in the beginning. I watched a lot of videos of them. But Paul Mason, is like Richard Smith. He just knows a lot of things, and he's really, how do you say it? In terms of connecting the dots and doing the research, and finding the right articles and that sort of things.
Yeah, and I love the way Paul Mason actually specifies certain arguments where he challenges the stuff that kind of goes a little deeper than just the normal is or isn't. I respect what the Dave Feldman and Nick Norwitz are doing, but I love the way Paul Mason ties things in to sometimes things that are very, he had a talk on vitamin D being sunscreen. Interesting. I'm a big believer in Paul Mason as well. Now we're talking about all this, who to trust and who's right, who's wrong, doctors and all that. We're going to get into Write That Down, and I'm going to play a couple clips. One is Mark's client, one is my client, and I want you to see what they actually, just listen to what they say.
These guys are getting richer while you're getting sicker. Write that down. 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 These foods are highly processed, complete garbage, and I can promise you now, I wouldn't even give it to my fucking dog. Write that down.
Hi, my name's Taylor, and I've been working with Mark since about March, and Mark is just awesome. He has totally helped me regulate my hormones, stabilize my hormones. I was experiencing some pretty severe hair loss just due to hormone imbalances. I am almost 4 years postpartum with my daughter, so I knew it wasn't that. But I had doctors telling me that it was normal. I had all my blood levels checked and everything, and it wasn't normal. I knew it wasn't. I knew there was something wrong in my body.
That thing shows, like, when we're used to this stuff, the medical system and all this stuff, they don't. It's nice to see that somebody, Mark, you give people hope. And please reach out to Mark if you need some help. fitnessbeyondtime01.com. Now I'm going to, the coincidences here, I'm going to play with something. I'm going to do a shameless plug for myself. My client, Noelle, just finished her 1 year carnivore working with me. And this is kind of what she had to say.
Glaucoma and my gums, which they say, oh, once it's happened, it's never going to change. It's obviously bollocks. Yeah. So I believe it could heal anything that you have wrong with you, period. I honestly do. And I'm just talking off my head with that, but I have two things that they said, no way, like anything can heal it. You just have to accept it for the rest of your life. Well, I'm not a person who accepts things.
And that's Noelle. She's pretty good. She's great. But she was told, like, oh, it just gets worse from here. And she completely, no drugs, all the stuff they gave her to treat this stuff, she stopped taking just by herself. And once again, like, the doctors said, no, this is impossible. And then they couldn't believe it when it happened. And I know, Mark, you've seen this over and over again. We've talked about that. But what do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I was the same. Like that lady's name, her name is Taylor. And she came to see me a couple of months ago, and she could never figure out why nothing was happening. She was chronically under eating. She had a really, really stressful job. She had a stressful life at home with her family. And she couldn't understand why her hair was falling out. She couldn't understand why she couldn't sleep properly. There was just so many things going wrong. Things going wrong. And then she bit the bullet, and she reached out to me and she says, listen, I need help. And that's what I love hearing. I love hearing when people say, listen, I need help.
Yeah.
And then we had a discussion. She told me about her labs. She told me about the medication that she was on. And I told her we're getting off that today. Yeah. All of that medication, we're getting off it today. It took around 4 weeks for us to heal the body, but she's been off all medication. You heard her testimonial. Yeah. She's been with me since March, so it's not that long. It's only been like what? This is May, 2 months.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 8 weeks, and she's improved every single condition. Everything.
That's amazing. And not only do I, completely love and respect what you do, Mark, but that just shows you if you take Mark out of the equation for that, that's possible. And that's what I think we're trying to say today, like, who do we trust? Who's the expert? I'm sure she went to a couple specialists and some hormone people, and, the experts would say this, and, there's a way. And most of us get pushed into the pharmacy, the aspect of a drug for this and plug and play. So, it's crazy how people are healing with this way of eating. And it's sad because they're getting told it's not right. And that just burns me, because so many people we've seen.
And not only that, Tony, but the cost of medication that she was paying for every month was ridiculous. She was paying nearly $400 a month on medication.
Yeah. I'm actually, you know what, to be honest with you, I'm ready to put it on my community. I'm going to I'll go up against Ozempic. Save your money, pay me, I'll show you. This is ridiculous. This cosmetic Ozempic now, which is wild. But that's I don't want to go too far into that. Now, Peter, I think I haven't seen this clip, but you've got it loaded up. And is this Jacob Foods replying to you?
Oh, yeah. That's a different topic. But we can relate it to
okay, I'm going to play it because I want to see what, we all get pushback in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I think one of the last comments in our show was, this guy says, you guys should do research. I'm like, man, my life is research for the last 6 years, buddy. I don't know what you're talking about, but it was just comical. I'm like, oh my God. And okay, he's talking to us about replying to our sugar diet show. And it's like, man, that's what we do. You know what I mean? It's pretty funny. And do research. What? Like look into the scientific journals that prove all the shit that we're doing is wrong? Like unreal. Anyway, we're going to play the clip. I want to see what this guy says about Peter's whatever.
Yeah, don't let him finish because I think he says a lot, but
okay, let's see what he says.
Carbs aren't essential, and the same way wearing shoes and sleeping in a bed aren't essential. You don't need them to survive. You can sleep on the floor, you can walk around barefoot everywhere, but why would you not wear shoes and sleep in a bed if they can make your life better, more convenient, more comfortable, and lead to better outcomes both mentally and physically? When you eat carbs, you have better performance in the gym, you recover better, your muscles are fuller, you feel better, your brain has immediate energy that you don't have to rely on.
Fuck it, that's enough of that shit. How the fuck do you know the other way? How? You don't know shit, buddy. Like seriously, you've just told me that that's what you do. So it is. And that's exactly what Eddie GOEKE was talking about earlier, Peter. I love it. Like good comment. Like, hey, be careful what you say. And that's
and full of strawman arguments, because he starts to talk about a lot of other stuff. Well, the only thing that I wanted to make clear is that be strict with your definitions, your wording, because carbs aren't essential. Because once you start to say that they sort of are, or that you need them, because he says that you need them, but they are not essential, something like that, basically. And it blinds you for any of the alternatives.
Of course.
Even if they are not there, but as a scientist, you should keep an open mind and always be able to accept that there is another way to obtain the same benefits. And I always refer to that as the fiber being beneficial, so it is essential fallacy.
Yeah, no kidding. And the funny thing is that is living proof. You just spoke with such authority because you're a young buck, wet behind the ears dietitian. You've been taught things and you're book smart. So I do this. It must be the right way. And I will tell you, go back in all of our shows. We have never said carbohydrates may be a tool. We have never said we're talking from, hey, we don't need them. That's all we're saying. We do not require them. But if you choose to in your athletic pursuits or in your life, maybe they may be beneficial in what context. But and then I know what he goes on about, like he shows these examples of like something about diet soda and water and hydration, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like seriously, dude? Like wow, diet soda isn't beneficial, but it still can hydrate you. Okay, well, what the hell does that have to do with
this? Shows to me that it's not science, basically. That's the whole thing.
That's indoctrination, right? Like he's been taught and told, and he's got a rubber stamp that he puts on everything, and it's like, wow, you have never even seen the other side. You know, that's true.
It's just a lack. It's just a lack of intelligence, isn't it? It's just a lack of intelligence. That's all it is. And
well, you know what, Mark? I'll go a step further. I think that's a lack of wisdom. You know what I mean? Because maybe he's book smart, but that you can say he's got a great little studio voice. He's got a great little presentation bottle. He's a good looking kid. He's got a lot of things going for him. But that is the stuff that somebody new would listen to him, and he's got a very charismatic authority presence, I guess. But when you actually listen to what he's saying, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Oftentimes he's not accurate. Oftentimes because he talks about burning energy. That doesn't exist. You don't burn energy.
Yeah. No kidding.
You can't. You can. Yeah, and he did one about a few months ago, and he was saying that you can actually track energy as well. Complete rubbish. Complete rubbish.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing with we don't mean to be dogging anybody. This is not what we're trying to do, but we're just trying to point out some stuff. And I mean, I know the people that are following us, they're kind of on the same page. I believe that anyway. But I want to welcome the people that aren't, and we're trying to show you a different side of things. We do appreciate all the comments and the questions, and we're not perfect, but you can't speak enough about people that have lived it. And a perfect example, Peter is a type 1 diabetic, and he has done things that most diabetics would freak out about, and he is thriving. So where does his authority come in there? And when Peter speaks, about his experiences, his opinions. They're coming from genuine place, and it's not indoctrination. It's not you must. Hey, I'm showing you a side. Maybe you could try this and gain some improvements in your, taking control of your health. And I know Mark's the same way about that. I mean, I'm not one to push anything. When I talk to people, the clients come to me, I don't even talk about the carnivore diet. I talk about nutrition. I talk about the best sources, the way the body works with nutrition. And hey, man, you may need more fat than I do. I don't know, but it's one of those things that I think people just they ridicule the carnivore diet, and they have no idea how it feels. And I think that's a powerful thing, because Mark, I can tell you, I bet you can vouch for this one. When your clients or the people you're helping start feeling amazing, that is the best thing possible. And look what happens. All these little things get resolved.
And that's all the research I need. I don't need any more research. I don't need any more data. That is my data. You can come at me whatever you, and that's what I don't like about this Jacob guy. He's not giving me any research. I want to see his case studies. I want to see his results. I want to see his clients.
Yeah.
I can give you, like, as I said, over 200 people that I've worked with in the last 4 years. There's my research. Who are you going to trust? These 200 people, or this moron on social media,
Yeah. And I agree, because when I'm helping people, I go into this as they're a puzzle. They're a puzzle that we have to figure out. And I'm not satisfied with not getting results, because sometimes you got to play outside the box. You got to work to something. Somebody sugar addicted is different than somebody that's absolutely fine cutting carbohydrate. It's always a different thing, but the foundations are very similar, and like your philosophies and when you push it. And you're right, Mark. Anecdotal evidence is real. It might not be scientifically valid, but it's real. And this is real people with real things happening to them.
Yeah,
and
but it is valid. It is scientifically valid. I mean, with any anecdotes or data, you have to be careful where it's coming from and how it's set up and everything. But it's valid.
Well, you know what I mean. From the mainstream, they'll say,
sure.
It's not. And it is. I mean, it's the hierarchy of evidence. It's there somewhere. But I believe that is the power, is when somebody. And it's interesting when you look at different carnivores having different results at different times and different effects. There are so many more nuanced situations where, somebody's body is broken from whatever it is, chemicals, plant toxins, whatever it is. There seems to be these magic moments during somebody's journey where, if it doesn't work right away, give it time. And that's, I think, the thing that we get. I don't know. I don't want to say a bad rap, but a lot of the carnivores, somebody tries it for 2 weeks and they say, "Oh my God, I got raving diarrhea. I felt like crap energetically," and they never got through that adjustment. That kind of puts a dark side on this stuff. And then the doctors come in and say, "Ha ha, told you, it's terrible for you." And it's like, and that's where I think we get into a little. We can get into some arguments with some specialists there, because they're not talking about experience, right?
Yeah, true.
And you know what? Since in the last 4.
Go ahead, Mark. You're on.
I was just going to say, in the last 4 years, I haven't had one. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was just saying that nobody has actually failed on my program in 4 years. Nobody. Every single one of them have come out with the same outcome. They've reversed their conditions, they've improved their health, they've lost the weight, and they're actually thriving now on the carnivore lifestyle.
No doubt, man. And that's, you know what, Mark? And I would believe you're saying that from a humble place where it just is. This is the research. This is the proof, and just have to listen. And I'll tell you, go to Fitness Beyond Time 01, go to TikTok, Instagram, the Carnivore Evolution podcast, on YouTube. I think you guys are on Apple now too, I believe. I talked to Victoria. I think you guys are on Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the people that Mark has on. Listen to what goes on. And, you know, when I see Peter and Mark getting, it's kind of funny because I'm like, I see the comments in your guys' videos and it pisses me off too. And I'm just like, but I'm trying to be, you know, Zen, love, light, gratitude, humble, and trying not to be that guy. But man, it's hard sometimes because you just want to reach through the screen and rip that comment out and throw it against the wall about 600 times. It's very interesting. And it's just what, if I could tell people, when you look at my co-hosts here, social media links, isn't it weird how somebody always jumps on their videos and has to say something like, no, this is cholesterol is, or no, a type 1 diabetic can't do that. And Peter's like, can't do that, but I am. And it's happening, man. Like, this isn't a maybe anymore, right? Like, that's the thing. It's so funny. And Mark's like helping people. Like, what are you gonna tell Kendall that no, she got pregnant inappropriately? How dare you get pregnant like that? Like, what the hell, man? You know, and that's the funny part about all this. And we get comments all through the thing. I know there's a lot of people on the same page, but you know, I really hope the people that have a problem with this can get off their high horse, come down to our level, take a broad spectrum view. God forbid, try it for longer than 2 weeks and see what happens. And you know, when you feel it, what's the worst that can happen if you try a carnivore diet for 30 to 60, 90 days? You can bring things back in, you know? I mean, shit, we're not all perfect. I haven't done this for 4 years, absolutely to the T. I have not had to, mind you. You know, when you have a Michaela Peterson situation where she has to do this, how can you tell her that's wrong? If she eats a bit of cauliflower, she gets she's in pain for 3 weeks. Say that's wrong. Like that's what, you know, I'm lucky. I'm blessed that doesn't happen to me. But it's, you know, and that's the spectrum. And we put everything.
I'm curious what you guys think, but what you see in mainstream media now, at least in the Netherlands, and also in science, we see that they are opening up a little bit to alternatives. So when it comes to the ketogenic diet for ADHD and that sort of things, you start to see some things. And actually, yesterday I've seen a video also on public broadcasting about fasting during cancer treatment. Wow. And they were in favor. So things are happening. And this woman from this TV show normally is a person that really doesn't accept unconventional things. So I was surprised a bit. But will this happen with carnivore eventually?
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I think that the thing is because they can't hide it forever. They can't. They can argue it all day long. They can say how, once people start doing this for long enough, you cannot hide it. There's no way. And we all know this. Like, you feel it, you know it. Sorry, buddy.
But this is the reason why I think Casey Means is going to change the world.
I hope so.
Because now she's in power. She's talking to the big people, like the likes of Trump. Elon Musk is going to listen. Bill Gates is going to eventually listen. So that's all we need. I think they will. I think they will. I think they'll listen. I don't think they will listen, but I think the message that these people give out, I think a lot of people are going to be like, okay, well, hang on a second. Are we been lied to? What she's actually saying is actually making sense. And they're making a movie at the moment as well, a carnivore documentary, and I think that's going to be huge as well. So we're getting there. We are getting there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you know, I often say it's like we know that those processed food is completely horrible and toxic. I mean, just because it's, you know, it doesn't mean you eat it. And I think that's a lot of people are going to start to hopefully wake up to more and more and realize, holy shit, it's more than just the red dye, whatever, 5 or 7. It's more than the seed oils. Like, and I laugh at people that try and defend seed oils. It's like, just cut them out. Try. What's the harm? You know, like if they're that they're not saving your life because they haven't been around for more than like 150 years. So they're definitely not necessary. But if pose that question, if it's possible that these things are doing you harm, is it not worth a try to cut them out for a time instead of being pushed into no. Your Honey Nut Cheerios that have whatever sunflower oil in them, it needs to be there because it's healthy. Which, you know, those are the questions. And probably that's a whole other podcast, which maybe we'll get into that. And I think, and that's something, you know, boys, I think we're pushing an hour, so we'll probably wind it up. But that's something that we could use your help with. All you guys that are watching, I really do appreciate all the comments and the questions. If you have questions and you want us to talk about some things, we're all open to it. Message Mark, Peter, or myself on our links. I mean, I'm going to post all the links below in the description because it helps us kind of push what maybe you guys want to talk about. And I mean, obviously, we're just here trying to voice our opinions. We're not trying to tell you to do anything. We're just trying to show you what we've done, explain our side, our opinion, not from a doctor scientific aspect, but from real world, real life, real stories, from that kind of aspect.
Yeah. And if you see anything on social media that you don't agree with and you want us to talk with, take a picture, send it on to one of us, and we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it on one of the shows.
Yeah, because I think, you know, we're new at this, and we're getting you know, we're getting our sea legs under us. We're trying to improve and evolve, and that's what it's all about. So we do really appreciate you if you could like, subscribe to Dutch Carnivore, Food for Thought, Question Everything, and I will be getting this on to Carnivore Evolutions soon. Sorry, not tech savvy. I missed that tech conference, so we will get our shit together and we'll get it on there because Mark's got a Carnivore Evolution podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So I've got somebody telling me they're hungry, and we will get that on there to simulcast on that. Where do they get a hold of you?
So guys, you can reach me on Fitness Beyond Time. I'm on social media on Instagram and TikTok. Fitness Beyond Time 01. And if you want to reach out to me, guys, for coaching, just send me an email at nsmark93@gmail.com.
Peter?
Dutch Carnivore on most of all the famous platforms. And if you want to reach out to me, send a direct message.
Awesome. And you can find me here on Food for Thought, Question Everything, on YouTube. Tony_Food for Thought on TikTok and Instagram. You can email me at TonyStewartCoach@gmail.com. And of course, if you are interested in hiring me to help you, we can do that too. TonyStewartCoaching.com. I love these guys. We are trying to get the message out there. We do really appreciate your support. We are here live every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. UK and Ireland, 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and surrounding Europe. And we will see you next Sunday. Take it easy. Enjoy your beef.